Welcome to session 2 of the Alpine Brokerage website training series. Today we'll talk about how to complete an electronic application. As you can see, I've logged into alpinebrokerage.com and I am at the advisor dashboard, which you can get to by clicking on the advisor dashboard in the navigation bar across the top or hovering over it and clicking on dashboard home. They'll both take you to the same place. Scroll down. Go to your life quotes. Save a few minutes. I will access a quote that I've already saved. So you do that by clicking on My Quotes. You'll see the quotes that you have here. Click on Edit. That brings you back to the quote. We're going to do a 44-year-old male. But remember, we put in the date of birth, so he's actually nearest age 45. We're going to do a 20-year term for $1 million, and we're going to do standard non-tobacco. Click on Get Quotes. And today, let's use North American's Advantage Term Gen 9 with living benefits as our example. Client decided that having chronic and critical illness is important, and therefore they chose to proceed with North American. Now, next to any of the quotes, you can click on the Apply button, and you will notice that a pop-up box becomes visible, which shows you the different application options that are available for each product. So for this product, you have the choice of doing an e-application and a paper form. If you do an e-application, and this is specific to North American, they will actually run the application through their automated underwriting system, and at that point, they'll make a decision as to whether they're going to go ahead and issue the policy right away, or whether they're going to want to proceed to full underwriting with blood, urine, paramed, doctor's records, things like that. So we'll go ahead and click on Start eApp. One thing I'll say is notice that when we clicked on Start eApp, you moved from Alpine's website into iPipeline's website. The first time you do this, you may be prompted to put in a username and password for iPipeline. Now, once you do this, it'll save the username and password and seamlessly bring you into the application screen like it did for me. If you get prompted for the username and password, that is not your Alpine username and password. That is actually a password and username specific to iPipeline. So if that prompt comes up, go ahead and click the register button so that you can set up your username and password, and then that way you'll have access seamlessly moving forward. Okay, so you'll notice that what it did was pulled in the information from the quote. The client, in this case, their name is Valued Client. They were born January 1st, 1975. They're a 44-year-old male. You can fill in a case description if you'd like. For example, maybe you're doing a term and a permanent application, so I'll identify this one as Valued Client Term App. Okay, you'll see New Jersey and then term, and you will see the product that we chose. We'll go ahead and select the iGo eApp. So the first screen that pops up will give you a set of pre-qualifications. If your application does not meet these requirements, it cannot be done electronically. So take a second to review those, make sure that your case, your application is going to fit those parameters and proceed if you need. If not, you'd go back and complete a paper application. Okay. Now what you'll notice, it says it right here in red, the yellow highlighted fields are required. So let's just go through this and complete this information quickly. Now you'll notice over here, so we have a green check by the pre-qualification screen because we reviewed it. We have a red question mark next to the proposed insured page because we still have information that needs to be completed. Okay, as soon as the information is complete and we click next to the next screen to go to beneficiaries, the proposed insured will get a green check. If at any time you do not have a green check, there is a piece of information on that page that needs to be completed. You cannot proceed and send the email to your client for signatures until you have all green checks. And you'll see what I mean as we go through the application. Actually, let's make this person married so they can have a beneficiary as a spouse. You're going to confirm the social, country of birth, and then the state. Employer is not necessarily, but necessary, but you may want to complete that as well. Do you have a valid driver's license? By clicking yes, information to enter the driver's license will pop up. If you click no, they'll ask you why, and then to provide a valid form of ID. And then confirm your driver's license. Obviously, it's got to meet the criteria of that state. So let's see. All right. And the trick is in New Jersey, it has to be 15 characters. Oh, we did not. All right, let's see what we're missing here. A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there's no 4 in there. There we go. Okay. I'll just use the Alpine address. And we'll say the resident mailing address is the same. Any address change in the past 3 months, and they need a phone number. That is the Alpine main phone number. Now, note if your client does not have an email address, they're not going to be able to sign electronically, but you can still take the application electronically and then simply print the paper at the end and get that physically signed. A couple questions about ownership. Will the proposed owner be the insured? Yes. Not a member of active duty. Not subject to IRS backup withholding. No joint owner and no contingent owner. We click next. Okay. No, we don't have our question mark, so there's something we missed. Let's go back. Now, I don't see anything yellow, so we'll have to figure out what we've missed. Maybe we need to put in a resident number. Oh, there you go. You got to have a resident number. Can't just have a business number. And there we have our check. Okay, so to add beneficiaries, you're going to click here to add somebody. Beneficiary type is an individual in this case. And we'll say that's a wife. Same contact information as the applicant. And they're going to get 100%. Now, if you put 50% in there, you would simply click here to add your second beneficiary, and they must total 100%. Once you're done adding your primary beneficiaries, you'll be asked if you want to add a contingent beneficiary. So if you put yes, the same type of interface will open up. You click here to add. If you put no, you won't have to do that. And we have our check. Okay. Has the client used cigars in the past 12 months? Do they use any form of nicotine? We're going to go with the 20-year term, and we're not applying for any additional policies, and we're not adding riders. Do you have any current life insurance? If you click no, you can proceed, you'll get your check. If you click yes, you'll have your surrender questions that we're all familiar with. Here's where you're going to add your insurance company information for the policy that's being replaced, or the policy that you have that is not being replaced. It still has to be listed. Okay. Once you have the information in there, you'll click Save. And then here's the information for the client to indicate whether they want the replacement paperwork read aloud to them. We have our check. If you click yes for temporary insurance, you'll be asked the questions that they need to answer no to in order to qualify for the temporary insurance agreement. In this case, we'll click no. Billing address is same as the client's mailing address. Now, you do have the ability to designate an additional person to receive notification if a payment is not made. So instead of just allowing the policy to lapse, they'll send a letter to somebody that you like. It might be a brother, sister, a parent, somebody you trust, who'd get a letter in the mail saying, hey, we didn't receive payment, and they could call you up and say, hey, make sure you get that payment in before the policy lapses. We'll leave that unchecked for now. Okay. And you have some information about the premium. Has the proposed insured or owner been compensated to obtain this policy? Has there been discussion of selling, transferring, assigning the policy or any rights in it? Now, if you recall from session 1, I showed you how to download and save your quote. So in this case, the annual premium is $2,075. We're going to pay annual, and we want to be billed for it. Now, if you checked EFT, then you would be prompted to put in bank information. The source of premium is going to be this person's salary, and then you're just going to certify that funds used to pay the premium are not from a loan, reverse mortgage, or any other type of line of credit. Certify that they are not. Here's information regarding you as the agent. If you have an agent code, go ahead and put it in. If you do not, perhaps it's your first case, it is fine to put pending in. You put your phone number in, sell if you'd like. It will default to Alpine Brokerage as the general agency with our new business email there. And then if you're splitting this case with another agent, you'd click yes, and it would be prompted for their information. In this case, we'll put no. We'll hit next. Okay, here's some questions from the agent report itself. Where they provided the accelerated benefit summary and disclosure. Note that with an electronic application, it's going to be part of the paperwork that's sent to the client to electronically sign. So you check yes here. Now, does any person covered under the application have insurance? Yes, we indicated that before. Is it going to replace? Yes. The answer to this question is inconsistent with the answers provided on the existing insurance screen. So we can go back to the existing insurance screen. Oh, yes, we are considering discontinuing making payments, looking for more coverage with a longer term period. Now we can go back to the agent report, and you'll notice that warning went away. Yes, we've used compliant approved sales material if we used any. Now, you'll recall before I started the application, I had mentioned that specific to North American, they will analyze the application and make a decision on whether to issue the policy right away or whether to proceed to full underwriting. As long as the client has not had any of these issues in the past 10 years, the policy will be analyzed and go through the potential for being issued right away. So we look at that real quick. No, we haven't had any experience with that. If you have, you can just proceed. You're just not going to be eligible for the potential of issue right away. Click on next. Do any of the following apply? We've never had any insurance decline, postponed, or changed. Not bankrupt, no felony charges, DUIs, and we're not a visa holder. At this point, you've got checks on each page, and you're at the point where you can lock the application and proceed to the signature process. So let's go ahead and lock it. Okay, so now the application has been locked. If you realize you have to make a change, you can unlock it. You can decide whether, how the client is going to sign, whether they're going to sign it via email. So they'd get a link, an email that says, hey, click here to access your secure application and sign it. Or your client might be in your office, so you'd click here, and then your client could sit at your computer and electronically sign while they're with you. We'll choose email. Okay, do not order a paramed, right? Because this person qualified to be reviewed for the quick issue process. Okay, so no need to order the paramed now. They may not need it. And by the way, our office would order the paramed if needed. Okay, you put an agent PIN. This is going to be a PIN that you're going to need to input for you to sign the application of the agent once your client has signed it. Confirm your email address. And you can click here to send the message. They will access their secure email and application via their last four of their social. In this case, I was making up that information, and therefore that's why you see 3333 here. You go ahead and click send message, and your client will get an email that says, hey, click here to securely access your application and sign it. If your client's reviewing the application and they notice that something isn't correct or needs to be changed, you'd come back here to the validate and lock screen, and you would unlock the application, which allows you to make any changes. Now, once an application is unlocked, any email or application that was sent to them for signature becomes no longer available to them. Okay. Now, let's say that you had asked a client for some information. I'll give you an example. Let's say they did not have their driver's license with them. So they had to call you back once they got home, found their wallet, and were able to give you that information later. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. Save it first. I'm going to close this and show you where you'd go to gain access to the application, because you don't want to start over, but you weren't able to complete it. So you're going to go to the Advisor dashboard. scroll down, but instead of going to Life Quotes, you're actually going to go to iGo Apps. Click to launch iGo Apps. Now you have two options here. You can start a new case, which you would actually use if you were running an application for, let's say, a product that you could not do a quote on the website, right? So you can quote term and guarantee universal life, but you can't quote IUL. So let's say you were going to do an IUL application. You weren't able to quote, so you couldn't move into the application process by clicking the Apply Now button next to the quote. You wanted to come in and start a new app fresh, you would click here to start the new app. However, since we've already started this app, we're going to click View My Cases, and you'll see the first one right here, which is the most recent one. We'll click on that. Brings us to our case information. Okay, so that's the policies we actually wanted to click on the application here, not the quote and illustration. And here we have all our checks, but remember, we didn't have a driver's license number here. So let me add something. Perhaps I can figure this one out. Well, does not like the sequential order of things. So we'll have to go backwards. Okay. Okay, let's go back. We've got all our checks. We'd go back to validate and lock data. We'd lock the application and follow the prompts to send the client the email to sign. So that wraps up session 2 of the Alpine Brokerage website training series. If you have any questions, please call our main number at 866-777-2006. Again, 866-777-2006. Thank you for joining us.